first person they see. He puts the collar on and is now bound to the will of Daonora, but she doesn't want to have to deal with him, so she offloads the task of being his master onto Yogiri. Since Hanakawa can't disobey his orders now, Yogiri decides to leave him alive for a while, but he tells him to go stand in the forest full of magical beasts and wait. He also tells him to leave behind any valuable items that he has, so Hanakawa is forced to drop his entire inventory worth of loot from his last summoning. Daonora asks if he may be being a little too harsh and taking all of his stuff away and making him wait in a deadly forest, but they aren't exactly friends and there's no telling when he might betray them in the end. Daonora then asks why he is sticking with her since she could also betray him at some point, but if it happens then it happens, he is fine with it since he is the one who chose to trust her. Daonora blushes a little and asks why he is going through such lengths to protect her even though they have basically never spoken to each other before, but he doesn't really know. If you had to think of a reason, then it would probably be because of her melons though. She gets red in the face from embarrassment and yells about him only wanting her for her body as well, but elsewhere, Shion is in bed and very pleased with herself when someone called Yuichi comes in to give her a report on the students she summoned. They'd have cleared the first mission, but there were 4 fatalities in the process. Shion assumes the fatalities were from the students who weren't able to receive gifts, but while 2 of them did die, there were also 2 ranked gift holders that died in the process. That's a big surprise, especially since they died without any warning, but Shion doesn't think it is anything that they really need to be worried about, so she tells Yuichi that he can handle it any way he sees fit. Yogiri and Daonora finally make it to the city gates after several hours of walking, but they see the guards closing the gates as they approach. Yogiri expected as much since it is getting late, so they rush over to get their attention before they get locked out for the night. Daonora goes up to one of the guards, but they can't understand a single word she is saying. The 2 get brought in and wait under a tent while the guards go get their boss to handle the situation, and after a few moments, Masahito arrives annoyed that he still has to work so late into the night. He understands Japanese, much to the relief of Daonora, and he already seems to have an idea of what is going on here. The rest of their classmates came through town earlier that day, so he has already dealt with them. Normally, he would get charged a toll in order to enter the city, but he receives clear threats. I mean instructions from Shion not to get in the way of the sage candidates, so he won't be charging them today. Yogiri asks about the other sage candidates he mentioned coming through and recalls that they had mentioned something about going to the capital, so he asks which direction that would be, but while Masahito is not allowed to get in their way, there is no incentive for him to help them, so Yogiri gets up to leave. However, as they are passing, he gets a good look at Daonora's assets and says he wouldn't mind it if Daonora stayed in his mansion for the night. But only Daonora. She doesn't seem interested and grabs Yogiri's hand to run away with a look of disgust on her face. She may not have liked the guy, but the reason she dragged Yogiri away so quickly was because she was afraid he would kill the guy for what he said. Yogiri doesn't know why she would think he is the kind of person to do something like that, but then again, he did kill his classmates back there for just moving, so it doesn't seem out of character for him. She moves on to another topic and talks about how amazing this town looks. It even has people that look like beast folk her. And speaking of beast folk, she gets approached by a cat girl called Mariyu, who can tell that this is their first time in town. She asks if they might be in trouble or in need of any kind of help from her because if they are, she is there to assist with anything. She seems a little too friendly for someone they just met, so Yogiri asks what she stands to gain by helping them out here. She doesn't even try to hide it and says she just wants to get along with all the sage candidate boys because they are all down bad and dying of thirst. And as a cat girl, if the sage boys become successful in future, she can roll a nat 10 on seduction and live the easy life from then on. Daonora doesn't agree with the thought process, but she can at least respect Mariyu's honesty on the matter. Mariyu goes on to say that Daonora doesn't need to worry because she won't attempt seduction on anyone who already has a girlfriend. She is well aware of what yandere girls are willing to do to keep their man, so she isn't going to risk it. Her seductive intentions aside, they don't see anything else shady about Mariyu, and Daonora wanted to take a look around town anyway before it gets too dark, so they decide to accept the cat girl's help. What's the worst that could happen? It's not like this is a trap or anything. Bulk, it was a trap. The 2 end up surrounded by a bunch of thieves after they spend the entire evening shopping in town. So Yogiri tries to de-escalate the situation by asking if they will accept money to leave them alone. The thieves agree that money would be nice, but what they are really after is talentless sage candidates like Yogiri and Daonora. Whenever Shion goes and summons a bunch of sage candidates, the ones with good gifts often end up going wild with their power. And the thieves have gotten sick of all the Dragon Ball fights happening in their backyards and bringing down the property value. However, they are weak as shit compared to the gift bearers, so it's not like they can complain about it either. So they do this instead and go after the weak sage candidates to make themselves feel better. They plan to kill Yogiri and then make use of Donora irresistible assets, but now that he has clear grasp on their intentions and has failed to de-escalate, Yogiri is going to have to make a call to the local mortician. Donora tries to get Maryu to call it off because someone is definitely going to die here, and it's not going to be Yogiri. But she thinks they are just bluffing because there is no way someone without a gift could be so powerful in this world. Donora has done her best to save them, but it's time to make that call. First, we're going to need 5 coffins for the people behind Yogiri, but he tries to take it easy on the rest of the people there. So he tells this guy to just half die, essentially turning him into a vegetable. That was still a little extreme. He tries going for individual body parts instead, but that is still pretty bad regardless. I know he was trying to take it easy on them, but at this point it looks more like he's just torturing them, so he decides to just put an end to this. Maryu realizes that she fricked up big time and tries to beg for her life with her sob story of needing to make money to help her sick brother. But to that, Yogiri raises the point. You tried to kidnap and sell us into slavery. She isn't going to be getting a redemption arc either, as Yogiri is ready to put an end to this and tells both her and the last guy to just die. However, this time nothing happens and they thank the heavens that they are still alive, but they aren't going to stick around for Yogiri to try again, so they both make a run for it. Donora asks him why he chose to let them go, but he didn't. His kill success rate is always 100%. So just when Maryu thought she was a safe distance away, the death kicked in, and believe it or not, she dies. Oh yeah, this guy ends up dying too, but no one really cares about him anyway. With all the attackers dead, Yogiri and Donora begin to walk off. However, they are called back by the city's guards who got news of the abnormally high number of coffins requested from the mortician, so they want to have a little chat with him about what just happened. Yogiri tries to lie his way out of this and just says that he found these guys on the floor already, but the guard isn't falling for his excellent deception tactics because she saw the whole thing. Those guys suddenly fell dead just before they could attack. Donora can't believe Adelgard is making them the suspects after they were the ones who got attacked first, and if she was watching the entire time, why didn't she do something to help when they were clearly in trouble? Adelgard makes the claim that she was just trying to find out who those guys are selling all their victims to, so they were going to let them kidnap Yogiri and Donora and just follow them until they found the guy they were looking for. She also tells them that the guards have received the sage's protection, so the gifts they have as sage candidates won't work on them, so they should just come quietly if they don't want any trouble. However, one of her men uses his appraisal ability on both and finds that neither of them actually possess any sage abilities, so they can't explain how Yogiri could have possibly managed to do this, and thus they have no grounds to make an arrest. Adelbert admits defeat and tells them they are free to go, and Adelbert's subordinate apologizes for his commander's rudeness. Yogiri tells him it's fine, but as an apology, it would be nice if he could hook them up with a place to stay for the night. The man doesn't disappoint as Yogiri and Donora now have a really fancy inn to stay at. While Donora is still taking on the beauty of the place, Yogiri asks if she would like to share the same room with him while they are here. She finds that to be a bit embarrassing, so Yogiri offers to just have their rooms be next to each other. Donora gets to her room and marvels at the luxury it provides as she jumps on the huge bed. She starts thinking about Yogiri's initial request to share a room with her and wonders what kind of lewd things he must have been thinking about to ask for such a thing. Then again, this is literally the first time she's been away from Yogiri since they got to this world, and without him there to protect her, she would either be dead or enslaved thrice over. She wonders if Yogiri really likes her after all, but I think he already made it clear that he was specifically after those soft chest cushions of hers. While she squeezes her face into a pillow out of embarrassment, she hears a sound coming from the room and looks up to find a ghost floating over her bed. She's freaked out at first, but then she realizes that the ghost happens to look a lot like her sister. But her sister is still alive and must have done something really bad because this is actually their family guardian spirit, and she makes it clear that she wants to have nothing to do with Donora's sister ever again. She is here to help Donora in her time of need since she is facing a very troubling series of events, but she wanted to help her, and why didn't she do it when the dragon attacked, or maybe when she was almost sold into slavery twice in the same day? The guardian spirit, Moko, is an honest woman and tells her that she is scared to death by Yogiri, and that really tells you it's bad because she's already dead. With the kind of power Yogiri has, if she were to appear recklessly in front of him and make a bad impression, she could be erased from existence in an instant. So she wants Donora to tell Yogiri about her before she shows herself to him so he won't think of her as a threat. Donora says she'll tell him tomorrow, but then asks what kind of help Moko was going to give her. Moko explains that since she is a spirit, she can protect Donora from most things aside from physical attacks. In fact, she was the one who prevented the battle song's sage gift from being installed into her body back on the bus. Donora gets angry because Moko basically put her at a permanent disadvantage in this world, but Moko doesn't see the problem since she thought Donora would have been opposed to a random person putting something suspicious inside her body. The sage gift certainly has its advantages, but once you allow it to be installed,